Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us this Tuesday afternoon. We're just going to give everyone a couple more minutes to get signed in and then we'll get started.
So I'm glad we have a nice handful of people coming in. Let's see. Just looking through here to see if there's any familiar names. Oh, looks like I got a bunch of new friends today.
Always good.
Although Mark Anthony sounds like somebody, I did know a fellow named Mark Anthony a while ago when I first started my business. It'd be fascinating to see if that was him.
For those of you that aren't familiar with GoToWebinar, for your webinars, just to let you know, unfortunately, the chat functionality is not enabled, but you can utilize the questions. So if you have any questions during Matt's presentation today, please feel free to drop that in there. I will monitor those questions and make sure we get those answered.
That's great. And anytime something comes up, if you want to just pop in, that'd be fine.
Great, so now that we're 2 after, I think we can go ahead and get started, and anyone who filters in can always catch up. Just wanted to put this out there at the beginning that this webinar session is recorded. So if you miss a few things or have to jump off or find it so amazing that you want to share it with your colleagues afterwards, we will be sure to send you a link to download the presentation and the presentation slide deck. So don't worry about taking too many notes, just listen in and enjoy. So I just wanted to kick off. Welcome everyone. I'm Melissa. I'm the Director of Marketing at DipJar. If you're not aware what DipJar is, we offer a very fun donation device to accept credit card donations. So we kind of started this webinar series just to help our customers and other nonprofit leaders and staff members just, stay in touch with the most popular topics in nonprofits and the trends that they should be following. So we're happy to host Matt today from Nonprofit.Courses, and he'll be chatting about the 10 myths that hold nonprofits back from great marketing. So without further ado, Matt, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Melissa. And we're going to get started. Just quickly to tell you, Nonprofit.Courses, that's the URL, .courses, not .org or .com. And check it out. There's a lot of stuff there, and most of it's free, and you'll really enjoy it. So now, let's start here by going to the first thing that I hear from a lot of folks about marketing in nonprofits. And that is, marketing just isn't what we do. We're not in the selling business. And that's probably the number one kind of myth, kind of reluctance point that I hear about from nonprofits. And one of the things I'll say, not just about this, but about marketing generally, is that, for nonprofits, you're there for the mission, right? I don't think anybody shows up to a board, you've been recruited to be on a board for a nonprofit and say, woohoo, I'm here for the marketing, or I'm here for the fund. They don't even say, they won't say I'm here for the fundraising, right? But so that makes this first point particularly important, because a lot of folks are, it's just not what we do. We don't do that. And yet the issue is that a lot of times they think of marketing as just selling. And nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, selling is a part of marketing, but it is not what marketing is. There's a lot of other parts to it, from advertising to we'll get into some of those in a second. But I want you to think about it this way. A guest is coming to your house. Somebody's going to show up, right? And it's a really important guest, and you want to, make sure that they're comfortable and all that. What's the first thing you do? Well, let me tell you this. What's the first thing happens in my house? Right? The first thing that happens in my house is, oh my gosh, we have to clean up. We have to put things away. We have to make this place look presentable, right? Because you're putting your best foot forward. You know what we're doing? We're marketing. It's not, this anything I mean, it's just what you do. You want to make sure that you look good and that the person is comfortable and that they're not distracted by things that may not be important, right? And that's what marketing is. Now, if you ask them for something while you're there, while they're at your house, then you're selling. But up to that point, you've cleaned the bathroom, you've vacuumed the floor, you've straightened up the little things on the counter or up on the mantle, right? That's all marketing. So marketing isn't selling. Selling is just a small part of it, and it's a lot more. All right, let's get to number two. Number two is, marketing costs money that should go to our mission. And this can be a legitimate concern if you think of marketing as something that's big and complex and has, all the bells and whistles that we see that General Motors or Toyota puts on TV, or that the local restaurant does, for getting people to their door, right? A lot of folks put a lot of money into marketing and advertising and things like that, but it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, if a restaurant was nearby you and you walked in and you saw the paint was peeling, you saw it was dirty in the corner, you saw that there were issues around, right, that just didn't make you feel good about the place, that's poor marketing. So what is marketing that's not going to cost you a lot of money? Well, like I said, paint. Paint is marketing. If you walk into some place that's well painted and just looks good, not over the top, right? Because as nonprofits, you got that balance to figure out, right? But that looks respectable and looks like something that somebody would want to walk into. That's really good marketing. And you know where those monies came from? Your facilities budget, not your marketing budget. Maybe you want to take them out of marketing, but that's another part of what you do. It's keeping your facilities good. If you are, here's something that's not going to cost you anything for marketing, and that's making sure that everybody has an appropriate email tag for your organization, right? That not just that it's one, that they're putting down anything they want, like a little GIF of them waving or something. I actually knew somebody who did that, which kind of freaked people out. But no, that it has either some slogan or statement or information that everybody, agrees on. This is what our emails have to have. That's not going to cost you anything, but that's really good marketing because you're being consistent with the community. Your people know what to expect of you. They have the contact information of the way that the organization wants to be connected with. So that's marketing. It's not going to cost you any money. How about improving the onboarding of your staff, right? Now that's it. Folks don't necessarily think of that, but if you onboard your staff with some sort of orientation to your mission and your history, tell the heroic story of how your organization came to be. I mean, I don't know any nonprofit who hasn't started without a heroic emotional story. Somebody didn't do something, somebody did do something. Something was wrong and they fixed it. Your nonprofit probably has a story like that. That's marketing, not only to the people who are in your organization, because remember, internal marketing is almost just as important as external marketing, but it makes the people internally advocates for your cause so they can tell their friends and neighbors. And that's not costing anything except a little bit of time in the HR budget. And if maybe you do a video and that might cost you a little bit, but even that doesn't have to be really expensive. Or I will tell you, this is something, in fact, that came up in I teach a class in leadership at Thomas Edison University in New Jersey. And we talked about this the other day. Your culture is marketing. How do people feel about your organization? How do they connect with it? Are they committed to your mission? Are you hiring people who not only are very competent about what they do, but are also committed to your mission? That's the beginnings of marketing. And again, not going to cost you anything. And you would be surprised. Those fundamentals will do a whole lot more for you than a big billboard up on a major highway, right? That billboard might get you visibility, but it's going to be really expensive and it probably won't pay for itself. But those little things, and there's a lot more that I just outlined there, can really make a difference in how your organization is perceived in the public, and it's not costing you anything. So as I like to say, you need to look at your organization with marketing eyes. How is somebody from the outside going to see it? All right. Marketing isn't authentic to who we are. Now, this comes up a lot because I think it's more because people's discomfort with what marketing is. I know somebody who's very close to me who says, oh, I hate marketing, right? Well, that person doesn't really grasp the concept of marketing. And in fact, doesn't realize that even by having that reaction, they are already marketing. You know, everybody markets, whether we know it or not, whether we want to or like to or not, right? It's just like what you do. It's who you are. It's how you dress, you know, this whole personal branding thing. I mean, you have a brand personally that is just like the brand of your organization. It's already there. The question is, wouldn't you rather control it than have other people define it for you? Do you want other people to be able to say, you know, well, this is who you are, right? And they define you, or you turn around and be able to say, this is what we are, and this is what we stand for. Well, of course, you want to be able to tell people this is what we are. And so that means starting to define that. It's a really, actually very simple exercise. So in fact, it's interesting, if you start defining what you are and who you are, you'll start seeing more people out there who connect with your mission. So, you know, are you, do you go out and do big events or not? Do you work, you know, with the homeless, say, and are there particular kinds of homeless people that are more attracted to you or not? Or, you know, whatever. You have to define who you are and be authentic about it. You're not making anything up. And then you will start seeing other people, other folks who connect to your mission, who are like what you are and who are all about that. It's the same as, you know, what kind of car you drive, assuming you drive a car. You see a lot of those cars on the road because you've defined that standard in your head about what kind of car is good that you like, right? And they didn't make that many cars of your kind. It's just your brain is tuned into it. So tune your brain into what you are as an organization, and then you will start seeing more that folks can connect to you. All right. Now, this one, this is something that folks would say, and they still say now, because I think, again, it's they want to have a reason not to put time and money into marketing. But we don't need marketing because, you know, our services are great. Whatever we, you know, what we do it so well, it just speaks for itself. Yeah, it doesn't. I'm sorry to tell you that. And it's not because you're, you know, that you're not doing great things. I'm sure you are. It's just that and to some extent, great service is marketing, right? Because people, you know, it's word of mouth, and folks say, hey, I got great service there. You know, they helped me when I needed help, or that surgeon was the best surgeon I've ever seen. That's good marketing. That's not a problem with that, and that's important. But you got to get out and tell people. It's just not going to happen by itself. And that's where, here, think of it this way. This really is the, when you hear somebody say, you know, if a tree fell in the woods, would anybody hear it, right? And the question, you know, or no, if a tree fell in the woods and nobody was there, would anybody hear it? Yeah, thank you. I know somebody is already thinking I got that wrong. But if a tree fell in the woods and nobody's there, does anybody hear it? Well, you do a great job, but nobody talks about it. Does it make any difference? You got to talk about it, because folks there's so much static in our world. There's so many other things going on that if you don't talk about it, nobody else is going to. And this isn't being, you know, a braggart about what you do. It's not, people aren't offended about it necessarily. I mean, if you push and push and push and push, but you know what? That's the other thing. You need to be committed to your mission. And I know you are, but it's, think of what, the image you see of an evangelical church, right? And everybody stands up and says, hallelujah, right? And they really mean it. That's the kind of commitment that folks would expect from you as somebody in your organization. And so they'll forgive you if it seems like you're always talking about it, if you are sincerely enthusiastic about it. So talk about it, put marketing plans in place, because just being good at something isn't going to cut it 100%. All right, time consuming. Yeah, honestly, this is probably the closest to being true, is that marketing can be time consuming, but it doesn't need to be time consuming. And that's really important. Some of the best marketing is, automatic, because it falls into, like we talked above about the other things that you ought to be doing for your organization anyhow, like having a presentable place to be, like onboarding your people well, so that they are enthusiastic about your mission. They are just part of everything else you do. So it's, if you're doing those things right, that's good marketing too. And so it becomes less time consuming, because it's just a natural part of your organization. But, you get out there, you want to do specific advertising, you want to put on a festival, you want to do, things that bring other people from the community in, right? Yeah, that could be time consuming. And you just have to say, is it worth our investment to do this? Are we getting out of it what we want? And if you are, then time consuming is not the question. It is return on what the value is that you're going to get out of that effort. And that's something I think a lot of folks put aside for, they think, well, they can't measure it. Oh yeah, you can measure marketing. You can measure how many people are coming in. You can, logic model, right? If you write grants proposals, logic model is really, something you might get into, right? It's inputs, outputs, and outcomes. Outcomes is what you want, and you can measure each of these as you move forward. And so the time consuming thing becomes less important if you're getting the outcomes you want. All right, this is something that trips up a lot of folks. Marketing is disingenuous. It's a lot like lying. Now, for those of you who may not have seen it or remember it, I want you to go look up Joe Isuzu on YouTube. And Joe Isuzu was a character put on by David Leisure for the Isuzu car company, which I don't think they make cars anymore, they just do trucks. That is the archetypical salesperson. And he actually made this whole little persona of himself of being kind of the pathological liar. And it was hilarious, and it actually sold some cars. But that's not what marketing is. It's not Joe Isuzu selling cars. In fact, marketing isn't about being disingenuous or lying at all. Go back to that party you were having at your house, or the guest you're having come over, right? If you don't want the guests to use the bathroom that's upstairs with all the toothbrushes and the grout you haven't cleaned in months, and it looks kind of right? Well, you don't steer them upstairs. You don't deny the fact you have a bathroom. You don't deny the fact that it may be dirty and not the way it ought to look, right? But you steer them to the bathroom downstairs that you've cleaned, and that is where the guests in the house ought to go, right? That's not lying, and it's not being disingenuous. It's just being, showing where you want to put your guests and putting your best foot forward. So, if somebody desperately needs to use that bathroom upstairs, sure, go ahead, right? You're not hiding anything either. So is it lying? No, but it's putting your best face forward on something. And if your organizational culture is about lying and about hiding things, then yeah, your marketing is going to be like that. But if it's not, you shouldn't be starting to tell things that aren't. You should be truthful about stuff, but putting forward the things that you think are important that people ought to know. And if you see, and that's the other nice thing about marketing, is that if you see something that shouldn't be there, right? Like maybe you do need to have people upstairs in that bathroom and you see that grout is all messed up and you need to fix it, then you will fix it so they can see it. Because marketing brings to light, as you're preparing for marketing, it's going to bring to light the stuff you need to fix. And that will enable you to have the internal, power to say, hey, we need to fix that and get that done. So yeah, it is not Joey Zuzu. Marketing is the job of the marketing staff. I hear this a lot. It's from people who have marketing staffs, of course, right? And the problem I find is that a lot of times the marketing staff is given the lowest common denominator job. And that's really unfortunate because marketing is the business of the entire organization in whatever they do and how they do it and how you connect with people on the outside about your organization. And the marketing staff is there to lead and guide the effort. It's not to suggest that they're not also going to do some things that are, on the ground marketing. That's their job too. But a good marketing staff will be there to say, hey, do this or do that or recruit, we're nonprofits. Nonprofits are where volunteers are, right? So enable and take the people in your organization, paid staff, right, and volunteers, and coordinate their efforts. If you're in fundraising, you may have heard the phrase moves management. Well, it's kind of like that, where the moves manager, the fundraiser is the moves manager, is the person who kind of directs the theater of the show to move somebody to get to make a charitable gift, right? Well, the marketing staff is kind of the moves manager, the theater director of the organization to move the organization to a better marketing position so that you're meeting your objectives. Either actually in marketing, what's marketing going to lead to, right? Marketing is going to lead to more money. It's going to lead to more money. It's going to through charitable giving, because people feel better about your organization, through better connections in local government because they see the positive things you're doing in the community, right? To better connections with local businesses because they see that partnering with you is an advantage. Those are the kinds of things that your marketing staff needs to focus on. And the people who are the line employees and volunteers can really be the foot soldiers in helping carry this out. So it's not just the job of the marketing staff. Let them do their job by coordinating things and then support their efforts by as good volunteers, whether that's in quotes or an actual volunteer. All right, this is a big one, folks. Well, marketing is for extroverts. It's for all the people who are going to who are just out there, right? Because that is what marketing people are. They are the party people. I mean, right next to the fundraisers, they're the ones who are out there slapping the backs and shaking hands and all that. And that's just the marketing thing to do. Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of unfortunate that that's kind of the type that folks come to mind that maybe the media is putting in our head about marketing people, because there is a lot of marketing to be done from the introvert point of view. I mean, think about the writing, right? I don't think that a lot of, well, listen, what do I know? But a lot of people who are great writers aren't necessarily your party people. Right? But they can put out an excellent marketing message for you. There are folks who do, if you do ad purchasing, if you're looking at internal conditions, we've talked about that a lot in your organization, right? But there are a lot of places for introverts in the marketing arena that you just can't overlook. And yeah, some people are going to be good at going to parties and slapping backs and shaking hands. That's great. That's just one aspect of the marketing job because they need these other parts to bring it all together. All right. Marketing isn't core. It isn't the thing that we do. So I don't know if we should, put a lot of investment into this. Well, Yeah, that's true. It isn't core, but if you don't have good marketing, you're not going to be able to do the core things as much as you want. Yeah, sure, you can still do them, but you'll always be starved for money. You'll have a hard time getting into doors because people don't know about you to connect with you, right? They're not familiar with your mission. What our mothers tell us, our reputations precede us. And that's really important, that if you are in marketing, that if you don't see it as core, then you're missing the opportunity for your reputation to get ahead. So that makes everybody's job easier who's doing it, whether you're a hospital or a homeless shelter or a university or a K through 12 school. Your job is so much easier if, in effect, people are pre-sold on what you do. And marketing is the job to pre-sell people so that they're ready for you to walk in the door and you don't have to explain so much. So yeah, it maybe not core in that they're doing mission services, but it's certainly core to getting your mission services done. And this is number 10 because I think it sums up a lot of it for a lot of folks, is that marketing is complicated and overwhelming, and that, it's just more than I want to learn or do. I just got to tell you, it just doesn't have to be that way. We've already outlined some simple things you can do that are going to make an impact on your marketing, right? Good marketing is talking about, finding a target. Who are the people you want to talk to? Identifying who those are. I found in the nonprofit sector, particularly, that other organizations can be good to talk to who do something similar, but maybe in a different place, and you can learn from each other. For years, I was members of professional associations. My background's in fundraising, and so I did CASE and AFP and some other local groups, and people share. And they're willing to teach you, and they're willing to help you with what you're doing. And you, I imagine, would be doing the same for them. So it doesn't have to be complicated and overwhelming. All you got to do is just start with those basic steps of getting yourself, looking at your organization, looking at your facilities, looking at the people, looking at how they talk to other people, and moving from there to at a point where you're out there connecting with people in the community on a regular basis, and having them understand what you are before you even walk in the door, and being able to control your message. So those are the 10 things. Melissa and I talked about having it done in 30 minutes. I hope you found this helpful. I didn't see any questions come up, but I would love to field any if there are any out there. Here's my contact information if you want to pop me a note. I encourage you to go to Nonprofit.Courses. Put up your phone on the contact page there. That'll bring you straight to the contact page on the site, to the QR code. That's what I wanted to say. Any thoughts, questions? Anything we should be talking? I know I kind of jumped through things kind of quick there, but I wanted to make this tight for you so that you got what you wanted in a good amount of time.
Yeah, and if you don't have any questions right now, as I mentioned, we will be sharing this out. And so you can always direct your questions directly to Matt. I will share his contact info in that follow-up email. Oh, looks like we do have a question from John. So when creating staff emails, what would you recommend? jsmith@organizationname.org or marketing@org.org?
Oh, okay. Well, given that choice, I am not a big fan of mailboxes that don't have somebody's name on them. Only because I feel like, as somebody who might send to that, I don't know whether that's ever going to be read or not. So if your standard cadence in an email is jsmith@, right, maybe you put in the one for marketing, Jeremy Smith @ right, or jeremy.smith@, so that your personal email isn't getting kind of bombarded with those questions. You still tie it to, it's going to land in your email box, and that's relatively simple to do. But that it's definitely, you're looking like somebody's making a personal connection with you instead of just going to this black hole kind of email.
Anyone else have any questions before we wrap up?
I don't know. I guess I jumped through things really fast here. People's got to gather their thoughts.
Yeah, it's always great. So like I said, everyone, thank you guys so much for joining us this afternoon. We know you are all probably in your busiest season for the year as we're getting close to Giving Tuesday and end of year fundraising. So we hope you picked up some few things that can help you, really kick it out of the park towards the end of the year. Matt and I will be in touch. We will share this presentation with you within the next 24 hours. And, as we mentioned, any questions you have following up to this presentation, please do not hesitate to reach out and ask.
Yeah, not a problem at all. Like I said, my email's there, and so is the contact page for the website. And then in the bottom corner is the website itself.
Oh, Matt, looks like we got one question that snuck in. Giselle asked, should you pay for marketing?
Maybe. It really depends on, I think, to start, if you are like totally flatline newbie at this, it wouldn't hurt to have somebody come in with, like I say, a marketing eye and look at your organization, take the objectives, because you don't want to pay for somebody unless you know what your objectives are to start, right? So set some objectives for what you want done. You want better visibility in among government agencies, or do you want donors to know about you more, or do you want clients, right? Because nonprofits have two different customers, you might say. There are the people who fund it, and then there are the people you serve. And so maybe you need to market better to those, but have an objective in mind, and then maybe have somebody come in with what I call a marketing eye and look at your organization based on that objective. Yeah, that's probably worth paying for. After that, there's a lot of this stuff you can do yourself, and it depends on, you want to put in some time or not, and it doesn't have to be huge time, but I would hope that whoever comes in with that marketing eye is going to identify a lot of things that you can just go do, and that won't be a problem, short of setting up a billboard someplace, right? Or, I mean, maybe, for whatever, Google ads, whatever you want to do. But yeah, I think that's probably, if you're starting from nothing, that's probably the part's worth paying for.
All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll be in touch soon.
All
Thank
right.
you, Matt.
Bye.